All right, ladies and gentlemen, the boys are back for another edition of Cam. We'll be back for
The Fat Cats
the
podcast, man.
Fat Cats podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I think it's the first time in 68 episodes I've included Cam in the Fat Cats podcast intro. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are off a fresh week of Week 0 football, and for any of our listeners that have ever seen the movie Division III Football's Finest, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets went over to Ireland, and you know what they did, Cam?
They spanked
They
that ass.
shocked the nation. According to the head coach, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, in Division III, shocked the nation, Cam. Georgia Tech shocked the nation. So, big man, it's good to chat offline. But, brother, how are you?
Hey, I'm living the dream, man. Back on here for another hour of talking sports. Where else would you rather be?
Yep.
Do want to remind everybody real quick before we get into it, Ward, find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Just type in the Fat Cats podcast. If you're here, you know that. Be a friend, tell a friend. Please let somebody know that you like the Fat Cats podcast. Leave us a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Instagram and TikTok at Fat Cats Pod. Ward, I got in a TikTok argument today that we'll go over later. But we got first favorite forgotten again, full plate, empty stomach. We are skipping on memory lane just for time constraints today. Got some NFL news, college football stuff, and then we are going to do our week 1 college football.
Week 1 preview. It's back.
But,
and Cam, I will say too, sorry to cut you off, but outside of this being the most important week in college football, the most important week since February that we can talk about football, Cam, we are 1 month away from the first annual Fat Cats golf tournament in Asheville, North Carolina. And Cam, we still need to book our Airbnb, by the way. We have not done that yet. But anyway, I do want to extend a formal invite to any of our listeners / fans that would like to come out and hang out with us in Asheville the weekend of October 5th. There is not only good football on that weekend, Cam, but Wicked Weed Brewery is there. If anybody's heard of a Wicked Weed Pernicious, it's an IPA. I will buy you one. So if anybody wants to come out and get a free Pernicious on the Fat Cats, we're extending the offer to Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah, that merch money finally came through. So Ward's starting to divvy it out.
Selling a lot of t-shirts.
But yeah, it's not the official Fat Cats golf invitational, by the way. So hit us up and we'll tell you the actual name of it. But
no, it's not. But
we're taking over. We're calling it the Fat Cats Golf Invitational.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this too. If anybody wants to play in this tournament too, by the way, it's $80 per person. It's an Asheville Municipal Golf Course. And it is actually a memorial tournament for somebody that passed away. So I don't know the details behind it. It's Western Carolina's putting it on. But the Fat Cats and friends, we have other people on our team playing with us. We'll be there ready to, and me and Cam were just talking about, Cam said he's coming to have fun, but damn it, we're coming to win. We don't half-ass anything around here. So
we don't, but I've seen us all 4 of us play golf. We have to hope that one of our guy Isaac J just catches absolute fire because we are not the best golfers. Let's call it spade a spade.
We are not.
But Ward, we like to start off every show with the segment called First Favorite and Forgotten. Jersey number goes with the episode number. We get a little bit iffy on the jersey numbers, especially on these big numbers.
Yeah.
So just stick with us. I've got one that's not exactly what we're talking about, but you'll get the gist of it. So Ward, go to start us off with your first, man.
Hey, we're 12 numbers away from being able to talk about people that I really know and can confidently talk about. But any few 70s numbers I can talk about. Number 69, I'll be able to pull out a lot of people too. So for just interesting number. But anyway, Cam.
Why is it an interesting number, Ward? Why is 69 such an interesting number to you?
Because the greatest edge of all time, Ward, Jared Allen.
Yeah,
that's why. I mean, but one of my memory lane guys from like one of the first times we ever did it. So listeners, go listen to that. But anyway, Cam, first 68 that comes to mind, Jordan Mailata. Not sure if I pronounced that right, but he is a big old. I don't know where he's from, but he's a former rugby player. He is a starting offensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles. So Jordan Mailata.
Yep. Native of New Zealand, Ward. Former rugby player. Never played football until he got to camp with the Eagles.
I was close to saying Samoan. I'm glad I didn't say Samoan. It's kind of like a Samoan name, but
He's an Islander, but yeah, I like that guy a lot. He went on the New Heights podcast with the Kelsey brothers. No free plugs, but that was a good episode.
Speaking of that, they got paid big time.
They were going to be in one of my full plates, but we'll go in and break it here. They signed $100 million deal with Amazon for their podcast, Ward.
I don't think they're much better than us. I mean, just Cam, unless you could start dating Taylor Swift. But I think that's the only thing they got on us, Cam. We cover sports better than they do. But
people are saying Travis only started dating Taylor for their podcast.
Hey, Travis made Taylor famous. I didn't know who Taylor Swift was before she started dating a global phenomenon tight end.
Yeah, and people get mad for you for saying that, but nobody knew who Taylor Swift was.
Yeah, apparently she's not even a country singer anymore. I thought that's what she was, country.
I always got her and Hannah Montana mixed up when they started dating. So
I got her and Carrie Underwood mixed up for a little bit, but
my first number 68 Ward, I think a guy that we've talked about on here is Richie Incognito. Actually, I know for a fact we've talked about him because he's been my first before. But yeah, Richie Incognito wore 68 with the Raiders.
The Raiders. I was going to ask if this was Miami or if this was Vegas/Oakland.
Yeah, this was Vegas, and I don't know if anybody's looked better in a Raiders uniform. Like maybe Howie Long is up there, but Richie Incognito in a Raiders uniform with that dark visor and that big face mask, man, Richie Incognito could fill out a Vegas Raiders uniform like no other.
I will say North Carolina native / Georgia Bulldog Zamir White. I don't know if you saw he posted all his jersey stuff yesterday.
Yeah, he looks like a created character, like a created.
That guy, his arms are bigger than my thighs, if that tells you anything. And he only weighs 20 pounds more than me, and he has probably 2% body fat. And guess what, Cam? We grew up on the same water he did. You know why?
Why?
He's from North Carolina too.
I know. Dude, I saw him in high school, and I remember thinking, like, this dude is 30 years old.
Yeah.
There's no way this guy's 8. Somebody get a birth certificate. There's no way this guy's 18 years old. But, yeah, Ward, let's hear your favorite, man.
Favorite, Cam, yeah. We'll have to, for the Instagram picture, we'll have to post a picture of Zamir White on here. But anyway, Cam, favorite number 68 was the 2024 NFL Top 100 number 68 player this year, Sam Laporta, tight end for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, on my fantasy team in our league, by the way. If you want to make a trade, he's on the trade block. If you guys don't know me, I'm the biggest trader in fantasy football history, probably. Ward, my favorite number 68 is Wilt Chamberlain. He won the 1968 NBA MVP. Great player. Drop the footage. That's all I'll say. When we see the footage of that 100-point game.
Yeah, Cam, we've talked about that. Because I remember you had brought up the stat padding statistic. So,
dude, he shot I think the number was 70 free throws in that game.
Yeah.
And he was a career 50-something% free throw shooter. That guy, you cannot tell me that guy scored 100 points in a basketball game. I digress. Just drop the footage, NBA. That's all we need.
Yep. Cam, couldn't agree more. Forgotten number 68. Cam, you ever heard of a man by the name of Andrew Norwell? He was great on the Panthers. Then old Ron Rivera decided to bring him over on a 3-year deal to Washington, where he absolutely sucked. I weigh 200 pounds, and I think I could probably play left guard better than Andrew Norwell did for us. And we cut his ass after 1 year. So, Andrew Norwell, hopefully you're enjoying not being an offensive lineman because you are not very good.
There was a time it was Norwell at right guard and Sheriff at left guard, right?
No, he never played with Sheriff. We signed him first year of the Commanders. We signed him, so he would have played 2022 season, 2022, 2023.
So that was the year that Sheriff went to Jacksonville. Then I guess
Sheriff went to Jacksonville. Yeah. It was
Okay, cool. So he was the Brandon Sheriff replacement.
He was the Brandon Sheriff replacement and didn't do a good job.
Nice. My forgotten number 68 Ward, and I didn't know this guy existed until I did a little bit of research. Milt Schoon in 1947 wore the number 68 for the Atlanta Hawks in the ABA. He is the only player in NBA or ABA history to wear the jersey number 68.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, we've had a couple guys where it's
wow.
One other guy wore it, 3 other guys wore it. This might be the only guy that I've seen that is the sole owner of a jersey number.
Well, Cam, I will tell you what, man. I have not played NBA 2K in a couple of years since me and you were in college, but I did see on social media that it did drop today. So if you want to go and create a player, I'll make a big man named Milt Schoon, and I'll make him number 68, and you can shoot, and I'll get your rebounds.
Yeah, I'm not buying that game.
Yeah,
I've bought my last NBA 2K for a
yep.
while. Speaking of video games, real quick, Ward, I have found how to make the perfect coach in college football 25. I've made the perfect college football coach. I'll drop the tutorial after this.
There you go.
But Ward, we move on to full plate, empty stomach. Full plate, somebody who had a good week in sports. Empty stomach, somebody who had a bad week in sports. I've got 2 full plates, 1 empty stomach. So go ahead and take us off.
Cool. Well, Cam, I have 2 full plates and 2 empty stomachs. Surprisingly, usually you are the one that takes the lead on this. But anyway, Cam, first full plate this week is actually going to be the NCAA. And you know why I'm making it the NCAA, Cam? As of this morning in 2025, PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina is hosting round 1 and round 2 of the NCAA tournament. We have not hosted since I believe it was 2014 or 2015, whenever Duke got beat by, I believe it was Furman, I want to say
Lehigh, maybe?
Lehigh. Whenever Duke got beat here in Raleigh in front of everybody. Oh, God, I almost fell out of my chair. Greensboro has hosted a lot, but Raleigh has never hosted or hasn't hosted in a while. So very excited to see it. Hopefully my boys in red and white, the NC State Wolfpack, are going to be playing in that.
Yeah, glad we got it out of Greensboro, man. I like having the drive to Greensboro, but that arena is not. Yeah, it's not the way they go about it. It's not made for NCAA basketball tournament. Yeah. My first full plate, Ward, is going to be a Georgia Tech guard who transferred from Middle Tennessee State. His name is Kalen Rutledge. He was a 2-star recruit when he went to Middle Tennessee State. If you watch the game in Dublin, he was number 77. He was the best player on the football field. Yeah. We heard all this hype going into the game about how Florida State had the best defensive line in the country. Dude, he mauled those guys. So yeah. Kalen Rutledge is getting my full plate this week.
So glad that we have something football to talk about, Cam. I'm so glad that football is back. And you know, you got to love preseason, but freaking football's back. College football's back. So, Cam, my next full plate is actually keeping it within Florida State and Georgia Tech. Giving it to Brent Key, who is Georgia Tech's head football coach. This guy has done nothing but had success since he has been at Georgia Tech. And Cam, the reason why he's getting my full plate, not only did they go in and, like I said, shock the nation and beat the number 10 team in the country, or number 10 team in the country. After they beat him, he kicked the band director off the stand, and he went up there and started directing the band. That's freaking awesome. Who doesn't want to play for a guy like that? So, Brent Key, you got the Fat Cats full plate this week.
Yeah, also, I'll add to that. They have stacked 2 4-star guards and 2 4-star D tackles in the past month. And
sounds like they're finally getting recruits out of Atlanta. Finally. Yeah.
It's crazy to think that you have a major university, a state college in Atlanta, and you actually get players in Atlanta. It's crazy how that works, Ward. Yeah. My second full plate, I'm going to give it to Trevin Wallace, former Kentucky Wildcat. He came out as a true junior in the NFL draft. The Panthers drafted him. I heard for weeks, man, what do I expect from Trevin Wallace? Is Trevin Wallace going to be good? Trevin Wallace was the best defensive player in the preseason for the Carolina Panthers. He's going to start as a rookie for the Carolina Panthers. So all those people that were second-guessing the Trevin Wallace pick, you've got a true starter as a rookie at middle linebacker. So shout out to Trevin Wallace, man.
Yep. Hey, thank God Frankie Louvu left, or that guy wouldn't be playing. And Frankie Louvu is actually on the Washington Commanders now. But Cam, I accidentally deleted my Google Doc, and I'm trying to pull it back up as we speak. My empty stomach, I know I had 2 of them.
You have Colts and Brandon Cross.
Boom, there we go. So first is going to the Colts GM. Can't remember his name, but Cam, I don't know if you saw this. The Colts have released their 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round pick in their 2024 NFL draft. Why are you drafting guys if you're just going to release them, you know? So, yeah, not a good look for the new GM in Indianapolis. That's one. And Cam, what's the other guy's name?
Brandon Crossley.
Brandon Crossland. Don't know if anybody saw this. You know, everybody's happy to see football back. He's a Southern Miss DB. He spit in another guy's face on national TV. The ref saw it, kicked him out. Hey, man, I'm all about fighting, all about talking trash, but there comes a line. You don't spit on somebody. You know, that's Cam. I don't know if you ever got spit on. I never did, but I would not be too happy.
I didn't get spit on. I've done my fair share of spitting, and I mean, looking back, you don't want to be that guy, but I mean, I get it.
That's one thing I've never done. I've never just spit
Well,
on
I mean,
somebody.
well, where he messed up, you got to do it on the bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
That's when you get it done. Was this the
SMU game? Yeah.
Okay.
Fat
So,
Cats Cam has done his fair share of Hawk Tua's on people. He just announced it here first. So
hey man, two things about Cam Taylor. Cam Taylor's for the Cox when they're not playing Kentucky, and I'm for Hawk Tua, man. I'll
there
do
you
it.
go.
I'll do it. God, that was crazy. I'm sorry. Ward, on your Colts point though, the Steelers had a situation like this. They drafted a safety out of Maryland a few years ago. Novak's going to drop the name when he hears this, but a safety out of Maryland. I think he was a 3rd-round pick, and they cut him like 2 weeks into training camp. He was so bad that they cut him 2 weeks into training camp, their 3rd-round draft pick. So, yeah, I've been on the wrong end of those two. Everybody misses draft picks, but when you go 4, 5, 6, 7, all get cut, man. That's tough.
You may have to quote me. It might have been 5, 6, 7. I don't know if 4 was in there. I saw an article on it earlier, so quote me, Novak. I know you're a stat guy. Quote me if I'm wrong, please.
My one lone empty stomach, Ward, is my my beloved Butler Bulldogs here in North Carolina. Roseville came to town to Matthews, to the Dog Pound. First game on the newly named Brian Hell's football field there in the Dog Pound. And I looked at the live stream, 2nd quarter, Ward, 3 minutes left in the first half. The Dogs were down 54-10 to Roseville. I think the final score ended up being 63 or 64-10. Rough start to the new regime. New coaching staff took over. Won, you lose. And I don't know if anybody saw any of the pictures from the game. They've completely ruined one of the nicest uniforms in North Carolina high school football. You had the old school black uniform with Butler across the front, the white one and the red one that said Dogs. You had the awesome silver, the sparkly silver helmet that just glistened. You had the old school Bulldog on the side, where they've got a new Bulldog logo that looks awful.
Yeah.
They put
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
They put the numbers on one side of the helmet, and we're traditionally a no stripe school. No stripe on the helmet, just the 2 Bulldogs. Their stripe down the middle of the helmet is just chain link. They have absolutely ruined one of the coolest uniforms in North Carolina.
Hey, and I don't mean, Cam, I apologize in advance. I don't mean to throw any salt and wounds for any Butler Bulldogs fans, but, you know, if anybody's listening to these segments between me and Cam the past couple of weeks talking about North Carolina high school football statistics, Wake Forest was number 10. Butler was number 1.
Three.
I thought y'all were 1.
No, Catholic was 1.
That's right. My bad. Well, anyway, Cam, moving what I was about to say was, in my 4 years in high school, I think the combined score in 4 games between Wake Forest and Roseville was 180 to maybe 25. But
cool. Well, the good news,
man, not trying to throw any salt in the wound, but you know there was a lot of argument there.
The good news is that list that we looked at was taken into account during our careers. And I played at Butler during that time on. You played at Wake Forest during that time on. We don't play there anymore. So whatever happened.
Hey, Wake Forest lost too. So
I know,
we sucked out too, but not as bad as we didn't lose 65 to or 66 or whatever y'all lost to.
Dude,
I know like 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys that I played with that went back and like left at halftime. Like Christian Dixon, Zeke. We know we've talked about his TikTok. He's starting to blow up on TikTok, by the way. He talked about it like, dude, it was embarrassing. Like,
breaking news. Steelers announced Russell Wilson as starting quarterback for 2024 season over Justin Fields.
Okay. I mean, that was pretty expected. I'm not going to lie.
Sorry to cut you off, Cam.
No, you're good. I'd rather switch topics instead of talking about the Butler beatdown is what we're going to call it. Russell Wilson. So I've been on record to say that best case scenario, Justin Fields wins that starting job, because then, you know, do we have our quarterback of the future or do we not? He looked good in preseason. I thought Fields looked good in preseason, but the more I watch this team, the less expectations I have for him. I don't think this is a very good football team. So if you want to trot Russ out there to get killed, they gave up, I think, like 12 sacks in 3 preseason games. So
Yeah.
not super excited about this Steelers team. Ward, we do have a question of the week, and this is we're double dipping here. One of our most commented on and we got the most coverage on this was where were you moments.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to do where were you moments week 1 of college football. So I've got one game that I want to talk about. I know you've got one game, and then I think another one. So I'll let you go ahead and kick it off.
Awesome. Cam, I will kick us off. Very excited for this. So, ladies and gentlemen, kind of to elaborate on what Cam was saying, week 1 of college football is here. We talk about where were you moments all the time. We're going to bring this back and start, just incorporating it into most of our episodes. So, what is the one moment you think of from week 1 of college football? This is not a good memory. I mean, kind of a good memory. But first one for me, Cam, 2022. NC State Wolfpack, number 16 ranked team in the country. Second highest preseason rank we've ever had. Okay. We go to Greenville to play East Carolina. I think we're 24-point favorites. The year before we had beat ECU 55-7. We go to Greenville. Cam, not going to get into the details of the game, but anyway, my where were you moment was from that game was I was sitting in the stands with all the State fans, and ECU drove down the field with 30 seconds left. It's a tie game, or we're up by 1 point. ECU drives down the field with 30 seconds left, 25-yard field goal, wide left. Misses it. I'm sitting there with all the State fans. We don't know whether to cheer or I was upset after we won the game, but I've never been mad after State loses a game. But I'm sitting there with all the State because we're supposed to be so good, man. That's when we had Devin Leary, we had Zonovan Knight. We're supposed to be.
Emeka Amizi was back that year, right?
No, Emeka had left.
Okay.
Emeka had left. He had got signed by the Patriot or the Panthers at that point. But yeah, man, we're all sitting there I don't know if we're supposed to be happy or mad we just lost, but we won and we ended up winning 9 games that year. So not a bad year, but yeah, that's my where were you moment.
Tell us about the bet you made with Big Fry on that game.
So Fry's dad, I made a bet for $100 that State would beat ECU by 21 points. I don't know what the spread was. This is before I was a sports bettor, and I lost, and I still haven't paid him that money. He hasn't brought it up, so tell him not to bring it up. And yeah.
I also remember where I was for that game. I was at Novak's house in his upstairs living room. We were watching it. We had bet ECU to cover.
Yeah, and they covered.
They covered. And I also remember watching Keanu Zane was on NC State, and DeMel Hickman was on ECU. So 2 guys I played with at Butler were matching up. They matched up a lot of the games. So a lot of trash talk went back and forth. I think Keon ended up with 4 catches that game. So the group chat went wild after that game. We got on a group FaceTime, all kind of chopped it up. So it was nice to get to see everybody. But I do remember where I was for that game. That was a very electric game. Because was that the game too? Your guys' kicker missed a kick in that game too, right?
I can't remember if we missed a kick or not. I can't remember that. I don't know.
It
was a very electric game, and it was at Dowdy Ficklin Stadium. That place was rampant. Dude, those ECU people were going crazy. But there was more red than purple in their home stadium.
For sure.
ECU always tries to compare themselves to State. It's kind of hard when he lost the last 5, but yeah.
But I think I remember you guys were up 3, halfway through the 4th. Your kicker missed, and that set up
booked
to where they could win the game.
Do you? Okay, I'll move. Hold up, Cam. Sorry, somebody has a conference room booked. Let me move.
Ward is on the move. Let's do a play-by-play of Ward on the move. Ward has been kicked out of his cubicle doing the Fat Cats podcast. He's up and at him. He's talking with his coworker.
Hey, no, you're good. My bad.
He's getting yelled at by his boss for being in the wrong cubicle. He's now walking 20-yard line. 10,
they have
5. Touchdown. Ward has found a new cubicle, ladies and gentlemen.
I have not found a new cubicle yet, but they have I work in it's like a WeWork space almost. It's called the Commons, and you're supposed to book conference rooms. I don't ever book them. I just go sit in them. And yeah, I got the boot from somebody that booked it. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to find a spot right now.
Well, I will go ahead and talk about my week 1 where
there you go.
2013 Ward, first year of Mark Stoops taking over the Kentucky Wildcats. They played the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Bobby Petrino had just taken the head job at Western Kentucky. I mean, you're supposed to get a win over an old rival. Bobby Petrino was at Louisville for years, and he beat up on Kentucky. Like there's no other way to put it. Stoops walks in. You're playing the Hilltoppers. This should be a win. And I remember Kentucky lost that game by 3 points, and they had the ESPN sideline crew was on the Western Kentucky bench after they win, and a running back whose name escapes me looks into the camera and he said, "We just beat they ass. They supposed to be SEC. They ain't SEC." And that was like one of the low points of my life as a Kentucky fan.
Not a good look, Cam. Not a good look. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the inconvenience there. I did find a spot, so we're good to go now. But anyway,
I will say, Ward, it's always something. We either have technical issues, somebody gets kicked out, or
the damn camera or the battery runs out on my computer.
Yeah, we're at a beach house. We're at a beach house and the Wi-Fi goes out. It's always something with the Fat Cats, and that's what makes it good, man. We're like everybody else. We always have mistakes.
Always something, man. But hey, really quick, next week one moment. I don't remember this. I was too young. 2007, when the App State Mountaineers went up to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and put a hurting on the Michigan Wolverines. I don't remember it, but my coaching staff at Western, we had 3 people on that staff that were a part of that team. One guy, his name was John Holt. He was our OC he was the offensive line coach when I was there. He was the main captain on that team, starting left guard. And then one of our other coaches, he was our tight end coach. He was the starting right guard, I want to say, on that App team. And then the head coach at Western, Mark Spear, was the defensive coordinator on that team that beat Michigan. And that's like they have it tattooed on them, if that tells you anything. Yeah. It's their probably proudest moment outside of getting married and having kids, which I don't blame them. It would be mine too. So I don't know if anybody remembers that. I was a little too young, but pretty cool.
That is legit. I mean, that's probably the biggest upset in college football history.
Yeah.
Like those guys will always be remembered for that moment. I think my wrestling coach at Butler was on that team as well. So
really, that's cool.
Yeah, a little personal connection there.
That's cool.
Ward, we are skipping memory lane this week, just like I said, for time reasons. But as we move on, Ward, we got NFL cuts just happened. CeeDee Lamb got paid, and then we've got a list that we want to go over. So, Ward, any immediate reactions to any of the NFL cuts?
Yeah, so Washington, very surprised by a few of the moves they made. Just to go ahead and start out, obviously we didn't talk about this last week, but 2022 first round or 2021 first round pick, Jahan Dotson, we did trade him to the Eagles. Apparently he's had an extremely poor camp. He didn't have a good year last year, had a very bad camp. We had planned on releasing him. We put an offer out there to see what we could get. We ended up getting a 3rd and a conditional 5th round pick for him. So to the Eagles, by the way, which sucks. But yeah, so we also 2 very other interesting moves that Washington made. One, I don't know if anybody heard about us signing Martavis Bryant. We cut him. That I knew that wasn't going to last. He's washed. But we cut KJ Henry, former Clemson Tiger. Very interested by that because KJ Henry was a 3rd round pick last year under Ron Rivera. Especially after releasing Chase Young and Montez Sweat, 2 of our defensive ends and 2 of our stud players. We need somebody to come in and help fill that gap. So very curious to why we cut KJ. And he had a good preseason too. But him, Chris Rodriguez, former Kentucky guy. I know we just signed Austin Eckler, but I know that hits close to home for you, Cam. I know personal connection. Former NC State player, buddy of mine, Drake Thomas from Wake Forest, made the 53-man in Seattle, which is really cool to see. I'm trying to think of some other hometown people that made teams. We had a lot of guys that got waived, but they're going to get signed, I don't know if the Steelers signed anybody that got waived. We did not sign anybody as of today or as of like an hour ago. But yeah, Cam, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, anybody big that got released that has been surprising?
I have a few. Kadarius Toney got cut.
Yeah, I saw that. Kadarius Toney. Juju also signed with the Chiefs too. So that's again.
Yeah.
So
Lewis Sign, he's a safety out of Georgia. He's a former 1st rounder for I think 2 seasons ago for the Vikings. He got cut yesterday. Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech was a first-round cornerback for the Tennessee Titans. He got cut yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I mean, Farley could not stay healthy, or Fairley, however you say his name.
Yeah.
But Lewis Stein is he's part of a weird thing where like people were just severely overrating players on Georgia's defense for the past couple of years. Like a lot of those guys got drafted a lot higher than they should.
Jordan Davis isn't looking good right now. That's one. Jalen Carter does, but Jordan Davis isn't looking too hot. No, that's a Charlotte guy.
They got the is it Nolan Smith, the edge?
Nolan Smith, linebacker.
Like I haven't heard anything from him. So a lot of these Georgia guys, and they were an incredible unit in college football, but a lot of these players seem to be getting overestimated a little bit. And what was the number 1 pick? They got drafted over Hutchinson in Jacksonville.
Josh Allen, or not Josh Allen. Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon Walker. Yeah. Trayvon Walker. I mean, like there's a bunch of guys that have just kind of been criminally overrated.
Yeah.
Good news. TJ Watt did make the 53-man cuts for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Ward, staying in the NFC South with your boys, or NFC East.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking down at my phone. I'm adding Juju to my fantasy roster.
There you go. CeeDee Lamb got paid finally. A deal that they could have got him for about $25 million about 6 months ago is now 4 years, $136 million. Ward, do you think he deserved the contract? They still got to pay Dak if you want to keep him. Micah Parsons, they've got a bunch of money on the books. So what do you think?
Immediate reaction, I think Dallas can kiss number 4 goodbye, because I can tell you right now they're paying Micah Parsons. They have the money. They are already paying a lot of people. I think this just solidified, especially with how much money they gave. He's the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. Yep. So Brandon Ayuk is sitting here licking his chops. Jamar Chase is sitting here licking his chops. There's a couple guys wide receivers that I don't think Brandon Ayuk's in that conversation. I know I'm not even talking, I'm not saying this to be biased in any way. I do think he got a little overpaid. Yes, CeeDee Lamb's good. He's had one really good year, though. You look at it, this is on his third cut. Yeah, him and Terry weren't drafted at the same time. But yeah, I mean, him and Terry have always been in that conversation, and then this year is when really CD pulled away. But yeah, I think CeeDee Lamb is good. Yes. Is he deserving to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of football? Absolutely not.
Okay. I like CeeDee Lamb a lot. I think he's probably a top 5 wideout, personally. But
so you think this contract's deserving?
I don't think anybody that's not a quarterback should get paid this much money. But I mean, we're in a new NFL. Like, receivers are getting paid.
Yep.
I did see a funny tweet that said that CeeDee Lamb's getting Isaiah Hartenstein level contracts, which made me laugh because, but you could make a case he's the best receiver in the league, and he got paid like the best receiver in the league. So I guess. But like you said, like they're not going to be able to keep Dak unless Dak wants to take a pay cut. And historically, Dak has never taken a pay cut. So I think there's going to be a lot of teams. I've got a few off the top of my head: the Jets, the Steelers, the Raiders, that are going to be looking to make Dak Prescott a very well-paid man at the end of the season. Ward, 103 NFL players, I don't know if you saw this, were asked to vote by ESPN on the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL currently. Mm-hmm. Have you seen this?
I have not.
Just go ahead and take a stab. You don't have to name 10, but give me a stab of who you think's on this.
I'm going to name 3, and I want you to tell me if any of these 3 crack the top 5.
Okay.
1, Russell Wilson. 2, Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy's at 10.
Interesting. Dak Prescott, did he hit?
Dak Prescott, not on the list. Now, I want this. I'm going to start
Trevor Lawrence, did he hit?
He is on the list.
Okay.
I'm going to read it from the bottom up. You tell me the first one's going to surprise you.
Aaron Rodgers?
No. Brock Purdy is number 10, most overrated quarterback, according to 103 NFL players. Kyler Murray is at 9.
Interesting. Okay.
Deshaun Watson is at 8.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence is at 6. Justin Herbert is at 5. Wait, I've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, this is top 8. My bad. So don't worry about the numbers. Justin Herbert is next. Tua is at 3.
Okay.
Third most overrated.
Makes sense.
Jalen Hurts is at 2. What are your thoughts of Jalen Hurts being the second most overrated quarterback?
I mean, he won an MVP 2 years ago, so I don't know how overrated that is, but
Jalen Hurts hasn't won an MVP.
Won MVP in 2022. Year they went to the Super Bowl. Positive.
Wow. Okay. And then Josh Allen is number 1. What are your thoughts?
That's very interesting. Josh Allen gets a lot of hate, but I don't know. I think Josh Allen's a really good quarterback. I know he can't win the big game against Kansas City, but yeah, interesting.
He was second MVP that season, Ward.
He didn't win MVP in 2022?
Uh-uh.
Who won?
I'm looking right now. He finished second in voting.
I'm about
that. Oh gosh, this is bad radio right here. I should know this off the top of my head. Patrick Mahomes won it that year.
Pat Mahomes did. Okay, my bad.
All good. But yeah, Josh Allen being the most overrated quarterback in the NFL is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like what has he not done? Like what I don't get it. He's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Yeah. Is that easy to say?
I guess Josh Allen needs to win. He needs to win the big one to get everybody off his back.
Yeah, I think if you look at the current landscape of the NFL, I think Josh Allen will be one of those guys that you look at and it's like he just came at the wrong time in NFL history.
Yeah.
Because like you're with Mahomes, you're with Burrow, all in the same conference.
Yeah.
It's such the AFC is brutal to get through. So I can't believe that he's the most overrated.
Yeah.
And again, this is 103 NFL players. This is a very small sample.
I wonder who it was.
They had to stay anonymous. So.
Oh, okay.
But Ward, moving on to college football, we saw a pretty good slate of college football.
Yeah.
Starting off obviously in Dublin with Florida State, Georgia Tech. We talked about it a little bit, but what were your
a lot of beer was drank in Dublin. I don't know if you saw that.
I did. Pat McAfee got cut off the air because he was so drunk.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Friday, the Pat McAfee show got cut short on ESPN because he was so drunk.
That's hilarious, man.
So on brand, too.
Yeah.
We saw Sheamus, WWE.
Yeah, Sheamus. Dude, Sheamus got fat.
He's a big boy.
Sheamus is drinking some Guinness. I can tell you that. I'm surprised Conor McGregor wasn't there as big as. Dude. I know he's not very liked in Ireland, apparently, but.
Well, and can you imagine just giving him a live microphone on ESPN, dude? How many fines would they have had to pay for that? But Sheamus and Coach Nick Saban were the only 2 to pick Georgia Tech to win that football game. So
I didn't know Saban picked Georgia Tech too.
Yeah, Saban also picked Georgia Tech to win the ACC.
Okay, Saban, that's where you're getting a little crazy.
But that was a fun football game. That was a run football game. It was a very physical game, and like I said, man, that offensive line for Georgia.
Shout out to that kicker too, being from Ireland as well, going back and doing it in front of the home fans. That's like a damn. Or front of the hometown. It's like a dream come true, isn't it?
Did you see the story that he said that he had to wake up at like 3 a.m. to practice American football because he didn't want people to think that he was too good to play rugby? Like apparently people got bullied for trying to play American football in his neighborhood.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
He'd wake up at 3 a.m. and practice kicking and punting for American football. That is
the grind don't stop, my friend.
But it all worked out for him, I would say. But Ward, what was your thought going into that game, and then what's your thought now coming out of that game?
I thought, Cam, I remember I told you the under would hit. Did I tell you that Florida State was going to not cover? Did I tell you Georgia Tech was going to cover, or just tell you the under was going to hit? I can't remember who I told what.
I can't remember. I do remember you getting the under. Correct.
Yeah, I know. I did think Florida State would win. I thought that game was going to be a lot closer than everybody said it would be. I think the over was 10.5 is what it was, or the over under was 10.5.
The spread was 10.5 or 11.5.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I knew the game. I was telling everybody here, I knew the game would be close. I didn't think that Georgia Tech would win just because, Georgia Tech's like, I don't know. They're like they've never been the one to beat the elite teams in the ACC. But they got it done, dude. They got it done. Very happy to see it. I'm loved seeing Florida State get beat because I am thinking big picture ACC tournament. Down the line, I have big implementations for the NC State Wolfpack. after Thursday night, before Thursday night, I'd like to see the purple and gold win. But after Thursday night, I have very high hopes for them. So really glad to see Florida State drop that first one. Not only first game, but in conference too. It's freaking huge.
Yeah, I didn't bet this weekend. I'm starting
I
my
didn't either.
betting up this weekend. But
Dude, we got to start picks of the week again. We haven't done that in a while.
I know we got to get picks of the week going. I remember saying Florida State was going to cover, and then I remember that DJU was their quarterback.
Yeah, dude, he looked bad, man.
He looked awful, man, and like he was lit. First of all, he's listed at 265.
No, he is not. That
The
listed at that.
ESPN graphic had him at 6'4".
I know one thing the broadcast booth was saying during that game was when he was at Clemson, he was so fast to always take off and run. He was known that they compared him to Cam Newton being a running quarterback. He ran one time against Georgia Tech, and he looked like a fish out of water, man. He did not look like he wanted to be there. So it's interesting how, I guess, man, hell, I guess somebody been feeding him good, you know? I guess Oregon State, wherever he was. I don't know what food Oregon's known for, but I guess he was eating some damn munchies or something out there. But yeah.
He looked awful.
Yeah.
He looked out of his element. He doesn't look like a Power 5
No, not at all.
I saw Big Cat talking about this on Part of My Take. He said that if you think about athletes, if you hadn't saw one game, what would change your perception of them? He was like, if I wouldn't have saw DJU pass for 5 passing touchdowns against Notre Dame, the game that Trevor Lawrence got hurt, I would think he's the worst quarterback of all time. But I always go back and think about that game. I'm like, this guy should be good.
Yeah.
So I can think of a couple athletes like that. Like if I hadn't saw one game, I'd think that they're like Jordan Poole. Like you can go seasons. If Jordan Poole didn't have that season that they won the championship in Golden State, you'd think he's the worst basketball player of all time.
Yeah.
But yeah, DJU is my main takeaway from that game. He was awful. Mike Norvell, like that team did not look ready to play football. Their scripted drive was awesome. They just pounded the rock.
Yeah.
And then it was like they were fish out of water for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like the defense had no gap integrity. Like watch the first play on offense for Georgia Tech. That whole box gets washed to the left.
Yeah.
You've got a hole that a Mack truck can drive through.
Yeah.
The right side. I mean, it was and that D line, like those NIL checks they cleared, man. That defensive line got embarrassed.
Yeah.
They didn't get a pressure the whole day. They were, I mean, the quarterback, I forget his name, for Georgia Tech, like had one fumble. They didn't get the ball, and then they go and score 7 on that drive.
Yeah.
So, like, they never oh my gosh. They never took
capitalized.
capitalized.
There you go.
Activity.
Yeah, the table's freaking turned there, Cam. Usually you have to do that for me, but
Well, yeah, I get fired up talking about football.
yeah, football's back, dude. And kind of jumping forward to that game too. I don't know if you watched the SMU game. I was really big on SMU coming into this year. They did not look good against Nevada. SMU didn't win that game. Nevada blew that game. Nevada gave that game away. I was telling you, obviously SMU is the new kid on the block in the ACC. They were really good in the American Athletic last year. I said, this team has a chance. It's kind of scary. We don't play them. I'm glad we don't. But they did not. I'm not worried about SMU. I can tell you right now. Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. I'm not too worried about, Cam. Not right now.
Yeah, and they're playing for free in the ACC this year. I don't know if
people know that either.
I don't know if people know that they signed a contract to join the ACC where they play for free for 4 seasons.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But yeah, that game. Did you stay up for the Hawaii game that kicked at midnight Eastern?
No, I cashed. Or I crashed.
They played Delaware State. It was an awful game. But I do want to give Hawaii won.
The Delaware State got there.
Yeah, they got to the stadium. I do want to give a shout out to Kel Crowdis, former Kentucky guy. He went to Frederick Douglass in Lexington. He had kind of a troubled career at Kentucky. Goes to Hawaii, 4 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown.
Heck yeah.
A touchdown where it took the lead for him. So shout out to Kel. Ward, that was on Spectrum Sports Network. It looked like a high school game.
Interesting.
They have the worst cameras I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, that's our week 0 reaction, Ward.
Football's back, baby. Football's back.
So excited.
And we got a listeners, I know we were rambling a little bit. Wait for week 1. We got a very interesting week 1 segment coming up. We're going to go through all the primetime games, give our picks, and and the way to win for each team.
Yeah. Ward, I do have a list. I want you to rank these coaches and most likely to least likely to get fired after the season, okay?
Okay. I'll go ahead and tell you the two right now I think that has a very valid chance to get fired. I think Billy Napier at Florida, if he magically somehow wins 7 games, I think he'd be okay. But the way their schedule is, I think he's done. So I think he's gone, and this is going to surprise everybody. I think Mac Brown at Chapel Hill is gone after this year. If they don't have, they brought in Mac Brown thinking they're going to be a college football playoff team. Obviously, they have not. So, and that's nothing against Carolina either. That's not me being me. I just don't think he's lived up to expectations. I don't think they'll fire him, but they will escort him, kind of like the Steelers did with Ben Roethlisberger. They're going to escort him out the door.
Yep. Yep. You can keep playing, but you ain't playing here kind of deal.
Yeah.
So those were 2 names on the list. I've got Billy Napier at Florida. I've got Sam Pittman at Arkansas, Mac Brown at Carolina, Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, Mario Cristobal at Miami, and Scott Satterfield at Cincinnati.
Cincinnati and Miami coaches are so new. I don't think that they'll be affected quite yet. Arkansas coach is very interesting, especially since he just lost. Is it KJ Jefferson?
KJ Jefferson, and he was fired last season and then rehired.
I didn't know that.
Forget about that.
Yeah, well, there's a chance he gets to Camden. I'd say out of all the ones you named that I didn't already name, Arkansas's coach has the highest chance of getting canned.
Yeah. Pittman definitely up there. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt,
yeah, I don't know anything about Vanderbilt football, so.
Yeah. And Mario Cristobal, if they win 7 games this year, he might get canned.
Yeah.
Because they have such high expectations.
They do every year though, dude. Miami has a top 10 recruiting class every year, and it's like they just,
Yeah. And Mario Cristobal, people forget, was one of the highest touted coaches. He left Oregon to go to Miami.
Yeah.
Couldn't get a staff to follow him or anything. So Mario Cristobal is a sneaky, might get fired this year.
These old heads, man, that are head coaches in the league or in the
college football.
NCAA football. Sorry, Cam, couldn't talk there for a minute. They watch. I guess it's going to be like us with Alabama in a couple of years. How we watched the Alabama dynasty. They watched the Miami dynasty. I don't quite remember Miami. I was too young, but they all watched this Miami dynasty, and they're like, "This team's going to return to greatness at some point." It's like I think it's going to be like us with Alabama in a couple of years. So maybe that has something to do with it, and I don't know, but.
Well, you think Miami should be so good? They've got South Florida recruiting right there. They're in the biggest city in the state.
Well, I think what happens is recruits come there. They're like, "Oh, we're so excited to see this football field." One, yeah, Miami, we share a football field with the Dolphins. Like, okay, that's fine. 2, the football field's an hour away from campus. I'm like, whoa, shit. I think that has something to do with it too. But
yeah, for sure. But Ward, I don't know. Did you see that the Connor Stallions documentary dropped last night?
I have not. No.
So Connor Stallions documentary, I will be watching it.
Yeah.
It came out,
is it on Netflix?
I think it's on Netflix.
Okay.
One of our favorite shows, or my favorite shows, McCready and Siskey did a kind of a clip on TikTok. Tyler Siskey coached at Ole Miss, Alabama State, some great programs. And he was talking about the Connor Stallions thing. People, they got caught, they're going to get in trouble. Just drop it.
Yeah.
Tyler Siskey got caught stealing signs at Ole Miss, so he's like, I still get hate mail for this, but I comment on a lot of their posts because they comment back. They've actually sent us some traffic. We've gotten some new viewers from me commenting on
really nice.
So I said a lot of people hating on Michigan and Stallions. I think every head coach in America would love to have a guy like Connor Stallions. He'll do whatever he needs to do to help the program and take the fall. This is college football, folks. I've been saying that for.
And you have been. And what were people commenting back? Just letting you have it.
Yeah. So this guy says, "No shit, doesn't make it right."
What's this guy's name?
User 4980182833508.
Hey, user with a bunch of numbers. Don't come at my co-host Cam. I can tell you that.
So I said in response, if everybody does it, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Let's be honest. Winning is the only thing that matters in college football. Yeah. Is that crazy to say?
No.
Okay. His response. So everyone would love to have one, and now it turns to everyone does. Everyone doesn't have a cheat code like Michigan did with him. They got caught. They should be punished. I agree with that. They got caught. They should be punished.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said, I'm with you. They should be punished. They got caught. I've been in that life. I've been recruited. I can promise you from NAIA to FBS, everyone cheats in one way or another. That was my point.
Heck yeah.
McCready and Siskey, Tyler Siskey replies, this was my point I was trying to make. Everyone breaks rules. Let's just move along. So I think I won that TikTok battle first.
Anybody hear that? That seems like Cam flamed that guy's ass. That's all I hear. I smell some ass burning from Cam putting a hurting on that guy.
Dude, I dropped some facts on it. I still remember, if you remember, Chiefs Kingdom does not comment on any of our stuff anymore because I flamed his ass for you.
Chiefs Kingdom. I forgot about that guy. I remember I started going at him. This was really early on. I can't remember what we were even talking about.
You said that Brock Purdy was going to reset the quarterback.
Oh, yeah. And then I went in the comments and started arguing with that guy.
Well, he said, when are you guys going to figure out that having the most expensive quarterback isn't a good thing? And I had to remind him, the Chiefs won two championships with Patrick Mahomes, who was the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. So actually, it does work out if you have a good roster. Yeah, but I did want to get that TikTok argument out. It felt good. Man. Shout out to Siskey if you're listening to this for backing up your boy, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
But Ward, we're going to do our week 1 preview. We're probably going to have to fly through it, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
But the Western Carolina Catamounts take on the NC State Wolfpack on
starting off freaking strong, Cam. The purple and gold travel to Carter Finley Stadium on Trinity Road in Raleigh, North Carolina to play the number 24 ranked NC State Wolfpack. Cam, never been put in this situation before. It's a double-edged sword. I don't know what to do. I'm going to be happy as hell if Western loses, but I'm going to be so upset if State loses or State wins. I'm sorry. I completely messed that up. I'm going to be happy as hell if Western wins, but I'm going to be so upset if State loses because they're both my teams. Like, yeah, obviously I went to Western. Like, Western's my team, but State's like my blood, man. Both my parents went to State. I grew up going. I've probably been to 100 NC State football games. Like, it's just, I've had such high hopes for NC State coming into this year. I've got, as Conor McGregor says, starting fights backstage with everybody. I'm talking everybody at work. I'm talking about the Wolfpack. So we do. I will say, Cam, NC State every year starts off slow. I'm glad that we are playing Western, a good, a high-tier FCS school to help get to Tennessee week 2 in Charlotte. But game prediction, I believe the spread is 33.5. The last time NC State played an FCS school, week 1, we played the Campbell University Camels, and we beat them 66-3. So, Cam, Western plays big schools every year, and we always get blown out. Unfortunately, we don't ever cover the spread. First half spread, I think, will be interesting, but not overall spread. So, Cam, I'm taking NC State winning and covering. I hate to say it. I will be there, Fat Cats Nation. I will have all my purple on. I want to have any Western stuff, or I want to have any State stuff on. I'm going to talk shit to all the State fans, but I'm going to be cheering for both teams silently.
So we can't get you in a Western.
No, can't do a house.
Western Polo NC State hat. We can't get you in that.
I might wear a State hat, actually. I might do that. But I'm going to be sitting there. I'm going with a bunch of the Western guys, a bunch of my friends from home, and I'm going to be sitting there, and, like, Western's going to make a play. I'm going to be like, yeah, let's go. And then, like, Grayson McCall is going to have, like, a 50-yard shot to Noah Rogers over the middle and be like, no. Yes. Dude, Grayson's whipping the ball, man. Let's go.
Let me say, man, this game might be taking place in Raleighwood, but don't ever forget that you're in Catamount country, baby. Final score prediction. I'm gonna go State 59. Western Carolina fighting Catamounts will go 6.
Dude, the last 2 week 1 games, we barely beat Virginia last year at Virginia. And then 2 years ago, we barely beat ECU. So Catamounts, we need a damn FCS school to start out at for God forbid, but
I will say it would be electric if you look up at halftime and it's like 14-7.
Yeah. I mean, Cam, I don't know how you would feel if Kentucky – I know I've asked you if Kentucky and Western played. You said you'd pull for Kentucky. But I don't know, man. I have always been very loyal to Western. love Western Carolina. I'm
I,
very loyal to State too, so it's like a
I think I've changed my stance this season, especially. Like if we played them this season, I don't think Kentucky's going to win 8 games this year.
yeah.
So like if they were playing this season, I'd go Catamounts. But if I looked at a schedule and it's like, yo, Kentucky can win 10 games this year, and Western Carolina's
Yeah.
on that schedule, I'm going for the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah.
But
Like I think I broke it down perfect because you know how big of a State fan I am. I'm gonna be happy as hell if Western wins. I'm gonna be so mad if State loses.
yeah,
I think that's just perfect.
and if State loses and Western wins, or if State wins and Western loses, it's just another day. That was
I
what
know.
was supposed to happen.
Yeah, it is. But if State does win it, we better beat the hell out of Western.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but we better freaking drag
Worst
Western.
case scenario. Yeah, worst case scenario is like a 31-21 win.
Because if Western misses a 50-yard field or a 40-yard field goal to lose the State, I will be livid for
it'll be the same thing.
Because if it comes down to it and it's a close game, we better beat State. But if it's like if it's like 28-0 after the first quarter, I'm like, all right, I understand. Offense is clicking. Let's go kick Tennessee's ass. You know?
Yeah, it's like when you're betting and you've got like say a +7.5 spread, and it's obvious that the team you bet on is not going to win by 7.5. You're like, I just hope they lose now.
Yeah.
Instead of win and not cover. But Ward, real quick, we'll fly through these. Kentucky Southern Miss 28-point spread. Kentucky's going to win. They've covered 7 of the last 8 first week spreads under Stoops. I think they cover. Carolina gets Minnesota.
I'll tell you which one Kentucky did not cover, Cam, was 2021 season when all the wins were stripped.
That shout out to Chris Rodriguez, who we talked about earlier, is the reason that season got taken away.
Yeah, so they did not cover that one. Yeah, I think y'all beat up on Southern Miss pretty good. Carolina, Minnesota, I think, is one of the biggest or most interesting matchups, non-ranked matchups this week.
Agreed.
They go to Minnesota, I believe. It's a Friday night game. It may be in is it in Chapel Hill?
I don't know. The only thing I know is that Mac Brown had a quote that they're going to play both quarterbacks.
Interesting.
And if you're playing both quarterbacks in week 1, that tells me you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, I know they have that left-handed dude from A&M. I don't know who the other guy is.
Max Johnson and I forget the other kid's name.
Variant. They did the same thing with Sam Howell a couple years ago. With Sam Howell, and they had a light-skinned dude that was left-handed. I can't remember his name. He ended up transferring and going to USF.
Yeah, he's from Richmond Senior. I forget his name, but I know exactly who you're talking
about.
Yeah,
he ended up transferring and going to USF. But yeah, it was a quarterback comp between him, or it was when Sam Howell came. I don't think it's not the guy from Richmond, Cal. I know the guy you're talking about from Richmond, but Sam Howell came in as a freshman. They had a returning senior coming back. He had started his junior year, returning senior coming back. There was a huge controversy. This dude ended up transferring and going to USF in Florida. I do know that.
Was it one of the brothers that went to
It wasn't the Surratt brothers, if that's what you're talking about.
Okay,
it wasn't them. It was a light-skinned dude. I can't remember his name. But
okay. Well,
but
we named I think 5 quarterbacks in the past 6 years of UNC football, so we're close. Georgia and Clemson, game of the week.
Yes. Very interesting game.
You know, our boy is saying that Clemson's going to win this football game.
Yeah. Justin is not as confident as you think it would be. I've talked to Justin a lot about this. He always assumes the word. I try to talk shit to Justin all the time about NC State and Clemson, and he just won't give it back. He's more of like a, wait till the end. He doesn't like to talk trash. But yeah, man, I am very excited for this game. And Cam, let me go ahead and throw this out there. This is a lot closer of a game than it is on paper. I think this game is these teams played week 1, 2021. Georgia beat Clemson 10-3 that year. I believe, Cam, Georgia won the Natty in 2021, right? Or was that Alabama?
It was Alabama.
It was Bama. Georgia won 22-23. Okay. But anyway, I do, Cam. I think this has I do think this is going to be a very good game. Both these teams have 2 returning quarterbacks, which is freaking huge. I know Georgia has lost a ton. Clemson's lost a ton on the defensive side of the ball. So I don't know, man. I do think Georgia ends up nailing it out, but I do think this game. I don't know what the spread is. I didn't look at that, but I would see this game being a 1-possession game.
I also think this is a low-scoring game.
Do you really?
I do.
Yeah.
I think both of these defenses are a lot better than both of these offenses.
I think if Clemson keeps this low scoring, it will be very close. But if this game gets into an offensive shootout, I think that's when you're going to see Georgia pull away.
Absolutely. I will say on your Justin Alford point, didn't talk a lot before that Kentucky Clemson bowl game, but some of the text messages I got after. He also made an edit. I don't know if people remember this.
Yeah.
He made an edit of me talking about how Kentucky is going to win that football game and posted it. So
Dude,
shout out to
Justin's sneaky, man. Justin has these little sneaky comments at
He
times.
gets those little-
He's what you call he keeps receipts.
Yeah.
And I promise you, if Clemson beats Georgia week 1 in Atlanta, there will be an edit on that Instagram story that I'll be excited to see.
Absolutely.
But no, he keeps receipts over stuff. That Kentucky one was hilarious.
I'll have to dig it up. It made me laugh. It was very funny. Most important game for these two schools, Miami takes on Florida. I do want to say, I love rivalry games week 1. When
Yes.
Kentucky and Louisville played week 1, it was awesome. More teams should do this. Like Miami, Florida week 1, it makes or breaks the season, and you don't have to wait till week 12 of a team being awful. You get the whole offseason of trash talk, and it all culminates here at week 1. Again, this is the most important game for both teams.
Yep.
I think Miami wins this football game. I don't think Florida's good this year. So,
Cam, boom, first the first what's the word I'm looking for?
disagreement.
Disagreement, boom. First disagreement of the year. I think you were wrong, my friend. You know why? Because the ACC just showed, I love the ACC, but it just showed that the top tier teams in the ACC can't get it done against the underdog. Cam, what just happened with Florida State and with Georgia Tech? You got to think, the Miami Hurricanes are not playing in Hard Rock. They're not playing in the Miami Dolphins Stadium. They are coming up to the Swamp in Gainesville, Florida, one of the loudest stadiums in college football. People have done nothing but write off the Florida Gators all year, all summer, all offseason. Florida's going to suck. Florida's going to win 4 games. I think Florida shocks the damn nation, beats Miami week 1, and puts NC State at the helm of the ACC, because I think Clemson's going to lose too. So NC State will be standing alone at number 1 in the ACC at 1-0. And yeah, so go Gators.
Ward rocking with Billy Napier and Graham Mertz.
Noted.
Real quick, Notre Dame plays A&M. I think Notre Dame wins the game. I don't think A&M is very good. And then Southern Cal and LSU, I think LSU wipes the floor with.
All right, Cam. Ding, ding, ding. Disagreement number 2.
Uh-oh.
I think Notre Dame is extremely overrated. Extremely overrated. They lost their quarterback. I don't know who the quarterback is this year, but lost Sam Hartman. Quarterback is the centerpiece to an offense. Texas A&M.
Riley Leonard, though. Riley Leonard walked right in from Duke.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did. But yeah, he did. But we'll see. I do think, are they playing at the 12th man at Kyle Field?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
I don't either. We need to look that up. But I do, man. I think Notre Dame is the biggest phony 12-team projected playoff right now in college football. Dude, Notre Dame, Cam, history repeats itself, man. Every single year, Notre Dame is ranked in the top 9, top 10. And what do they do every year? They lose 3 games. Cam, they're playing against an SEC team. Is it at home or not? Did you see?
They're playing at A&M.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mark it up. Maroon, burgundy. I don't know what color A&M claims, but I think A&M takes this game on a huge week 1. I know Notre Dame's not the ACC. I am shitting on the ACC right now, being an ACC fan. But
can I tell you why I don't like A&M in this game?
Yeah.
First game, new head coach Mike Elko taking over.
Yep.
Ward, I can name more players that A&M lost in the transfer portal this season than they have on their roster. That offensive line is awful. They lost 5 starters on that offensive line. They lost the best defensive player in the country to Ole Miss. They lost one of the best receivers in the country to Oregon and Evan Stewart. I legit can name more besides Connor Weigman, former 5-star. He's not a good quarterback, by the way.
Yep.
He's not good.
Guess what else, though? I'll let you finish. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
They lost their running back 1, Reuben Owens, to an off-season surgery. This team is gutted from Jimbo leaving. They're gutted from the NIL chicks not clearing, and they're gutted from injury. I don't see how this team is a good football team.
There's one thing you didn't add, though, Cam.
What's that?
It is hard for a quarterback to come in and control a new team in front of 106,000 people.
That is true.
coming from Duke. Duke beat Clemson last year at home.
Yes.
But Riley Leonard has never been put in a situation like this.
Side story, Mike Elko, former head coach of Riley Leonard at Duke. So who's going to win? Does Elko have more dirt on Riley Leonard's play style, or does Riley Leonard know what he's going to get on defense?
Valid point. I didn't even think about that, Cam. You just added fuel to my fire. Hell yeah. I Texas A&M. He knows exactly what Riley Leonard's going to do. So, and man, Notre Dame writes the script every year, bro. They're supposed to be good every year. What happens? They lose 3 games, lose 4 games. A&M is nobody to sleep on, dude. You know that better than anybody. So, give me the Aggies beating the Fighting Irish. I know you're head coach. You're the head coach at NCAA 25 for the Fighting Irish, but give me the Fighting Irish getting beat. Yeah, and then Cam, LSU, USC. I do think LSU walks through. USC's Big Ten, right?
Yes.
Big Ten. New Big Ten foe gets beat. Yeah, LSU. Go Tigers.
I don't have a pet peeve of the week. Do you?
I'll save mine for next week.
Okay, cool. So that was episode 68 of the Fat Cats podcast. We did go a little bit over, but it's all right. I want to remind everybody real quick, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, like, subscribe, leave a comment, Instagram and TikTok at Fat Cats Pod. We appreciate everybody.
I'm so glad I can disagree with you, Cam. You know why? Football's back, baby. Football's back,
baby.
Football's back.
Talking season is over.
Yeah.
Football is back.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for next week because State and Tennessee play. Cam, I didn't tell you this too, by the way. We are going to have to figure out when we can record next week. I fly to Indianapolis on Tuesday. I'm in Indianapolis Tuesday, Wednesday. I fly on Wednesday from Indianapolis to Boston, and I'm in Boston Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I fly home. So we're just gonna have to figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah. You may have to work with me a little bit and do like an 8:30 pod, but
that's fine. I'll work on your schedule, brother.
But yeah, hey, so glad football's back, and I'm so glad for NFL to get kicked off here too. Next week we'll be able to talk Ravens Chiefs Thursday night football. So
yes, sir. Can't wait. Pleasure as always, my friend. You are the best in the business, big dog. Peace.